Hello, YouTube. It's me again, FemShep, and I'm doing something a little bit different today. I wanted to put out a more general tutorial on kind of approach to the game. Not a specific tech, but a way of altering the way you maybe think about your decisions in a real match and consider the potential outcomes of the guesses that you're making during a real match. I thought of this because a couple days ago, I was hanging out in 801 Strider's stream because he was actually playing some Marisa on Ranked for the first time in a hot minute. And somebody recognized me in the chat and went, oh, hey, you just hit 1700 MR on Marisa. What would you say are the things you changed to be able to get that high? And one of the things I said in response was that I started varying my options more. And I didn't really have the opportunity to elaborate on that in Twitch chat, especially because, like, this wasn't my stream. Like, I didn't want to take over the entire chat with a separate conversation. But I thought about it a lot afterwards and went, what do I really mean by varying my decisions? Like, what did I change about my decision making on my way to 1700 MR that made all the difference? And ultimately, what came to mind was that I used to play too safe. And playing safe sounds good in theory. You don't want to take big risks if you don't have to. But there is definitely such a thing in Street Fighter 6 as playing too safe. And I wanted to get into what that is with some examples today. So number one of the safest feeling options, often safest perceived options in this game on defense, particularly in the corner, can be a delay throw tech. If you don't know what a delay throw tech is, it means that on your wake up, instead of immediately hitting a throw to break if they try to throw you, you're waiting like 4 or 5 frames, so a fraction of a second, during which you're blocking on your wake up, and then you're hitting throw. And the reason you want to do this is because if on your wake up you just immediately hit throw, then you're gonna get hit by the meaty because strike beats throw. But if you do a delay throw attack, which I'll show you what that looks like here just by knocking him down. Oh, wait. There we go. You see he waited just a fraction before that throw came out, and the result of that is, if I hit him on the first frame of his wake up, he was still blocking, the throw never comes out, and so he can cover 2 options. If I meaty him, he'll block, and if I throw him, he'll tech the throw. Like that. And that can feel like a really safe option. Like, okay, I no longer have to guess between strike and throw. You can't hit me, you can't throw me, I'm already winning the game. Except if you've played this game for any length of time, you already know the third piece of the rock, paper, scissors. Rock being strike, paper being throw. There is also the shimmy, in which case, if you're always doing delay tech, this can happen. And then, because you did what you perceive to be the safe option, if I have full resources, even without CA, I can take over 53% of your health from you making that decision. So what seems to be the safe option, and what pretty much works as an option, I would say, until probably mid-plat, at least 80% of the time, becomes a huge liability. Because if they pick scissors, even though you covered rock and paper, you're probably going to die. So you might be thinking, okay, then if I shouldn't be guessing that they could throw me on my wake up, if I don't want to risk whiffing the throw tech on my wake up, you might just follow the old adage that you're likely to hear a lot from players in this scene, which is just take the throw. Because where the combo for getting shimmied takes 53+% of Luke's health, a throw takes 1200 damage, which is a little over 10% of Luke's health. So it's saving him like 40% of health damage to just say, you know what, I'm gonna take the throw. And this again sounds good as a principle in theory, but if you decide that you're just going to take the throw on your wake up every time, then this can happen. So yeah, it takes like 10 throws, but if you were determined to always do the safe thing and always just take the throw, you can die to 10 throws. It has happened to me in tournament sets. When I first went, okay, I'm gonna hard commit to taking the throw, it became very apparent to my opponents that I was so committed to doing the safe thing, it was now exploitable. Now, if you want to start doing something that is a little bit more aware of all of the possibilities, if you want to vary your options more, what can you do here to deal with the shimmy? Just as an easy example here, Luke could do a crouch medium kick on his wake up. So if I'm backing up to shimmy, that will catch me backing up looking for a whiffed throw like this. And he could buffer a drive rush cancel behind that and get his own big combo. The danger of that is, again, I could just meaty him. But if he wants to cover two options, you delay the medium kick the same way you would delay the throw tech. And now if I meaty him, he'll block. And if I back up to do a shimmy, I get hit by the crouch medium kick. Now, maybe you're already a little bit more advanced in Street Fighter 6, and you're like, I already know how strike throw shimmy works, I already understand the counters to each one, what's your point? I will elaborate on this further. I simply thought that strike throw shimmy was a good core example of the ways in which always choosing the safe option can ultimately lead to your downfall. And for the broader, more specific example, I'm going to switch to my main, that being Marisa, and get right into it. Marisa can be a very volatile character in this game, even when she's on offense, because it feels like if you guess wrong, all of that pressure, all of that fear you can instill with her big muscle mommy damage just turns on its head because she doesn't have good defense. And the result of that is that even when you're pressuring and you want to feel like the Terminator and you want to feel confident on your offense, it's really easy in the same way that a delay throw tack on defense feels safe to go for offensive options that cover multiple options and therefore feel safe and fall into always doing that same pressure sequence. So I'm going to set Luke to block everything here, turn off all block reversals, and go into an example. This is Marisa's charged back heavy punch. It is +4 on block, and it will frame trap into a trade with back heavy punch if he hits a button after the blocked, fully charged back heavy punch. So just as an example, there you go. And so on hit, you can just do that into a Gladius. If he delayed that even a frame, often I find it just straight up counter hits them because they didn't immediately mash. If we just delay that by a frame to make my point, that's what usually happens. I get a knockdown. If they're in the corner, I get Oki. Otherwise, Gladius doesn't have real Oki, but it covers the situation of them mashing on their defense. My worst case scenario, if they mash there, is a trade that doesn't really negatively affect anything, and my best case scenario is a knockdown. If he doesn't delay this, and we do just get the trade, I'm still +10. I can still get a trade combo. And because he decided to mash, that trade's actually even better than just straight up beating the button, because if he was at the corner and I have that much contained pushback, I get a huge combo. That might work mid-screen too. For the purposes of example, we're just going to talk about the corner. On the other hand, if he just wants to block, if he doesn't want to do anything on defense, he's just determined to sit there and take it. Oop. This sequence takes a whole bar and a half of his drive meter on block. So I've now covered two of the potentially most common options on his defense after blocking this button. If he mashes, he's going to get hit into a potentially huge combo. And if he doesn't mash, then I'm taking a huge chunk of his drive gauge because he blocked. And I was pretty much always doing this sequence after I did the charged back heavy punch on block. A good example of when that would be something I would do would be after a Gladius knockdown, because it hits meaty in that situation. You'll see it counter hits him there on wake up because it's truly meaty after the stand light punch frame kill. So if they don't mash on wake up, they end up blocking that fully charged back heavy punch. So this is a really common scenario to end up in, that Gladius knockdown in the corner. And I was pretty much always going for this sequence because it bullies on block and it combos on hit. And I figured those are two of the most likely things they could do. And that felt like a really safe pressure sequence to me. It became a bit of a comfort sequence. I'm just always gonna do this because it covers really likely options. It doesn't leave a lot of room for counterplay, so I'm always gonna do this. But that doesn't mean the counterplay doesn't exist. One of the key potential counterplays being going for perfect parry on the second hit. There it is. And that puts me in a really bad situation where they can potentially do a side switch combo to get out of the corner, or even just back throw me into the corner and flip the whole situation on its head. And I remember getting increasingly annoyed on my offense. Like, I know how to pressure in this situation. I know this is a frame trap. I know how much it does on block. I'm doing the objectively right thing that Marisa players should do to pressure in this situation. So why is my smart, thought out pressure sequence that covers some of the most common counterplay getting perfect parried like this? How am I always failing if I'm doing the smart thing? But the smart thing is not smart if it's the thing that you always do. It becomes predictable because if you always choose to err on the side of considering risk reward first and foremost, if you always do the sequence that your character has that is just their best sequence, or you pick the defensive option that covers the most likely outcomes, then it doesn't matter that it was a smart play on offense or defense. If it's the play you always have, then even though you're doing the objectively right thing, it becomes the wrong thing because it eliminates your opponent having to guess. And it sounds simple when I say it out loud, but it took me a really long time to fully get it through my skull, because as I played more and more correctly, air quotes, I almost felt like I was getting punished for it. Like, I know my optimal pressure now. I know where my frame traps are. I know how to cover multiple options on my wake up. So why, when I do the thing that is based on all of this experience and education, am I still getting punished for it? And it's because at the end of the day, you can't just go for the layer one smart thing. There are more layers to this game. If he does want to immediately parry after that first hit, then there are multiple ways that I can punish that. I can just wait, walk forward, punish, counter, throw him if I'm faster there. There we go. At some spacings, I believe in the corner when it was meaty, this would work. You can get the punish, counter, command grab even, if he always wants to parry. If he isn't parrying and he is just blocking, yeah, I can just continue to bully his drive gauge like this, but I'm giving him multiple opportunities to perfect parry. He could perfect parry this, he could perfect parry the Gladius, and at the very least, he can be pretty comfortable on defense because it's not a great situation for him, but he knows what the situation is. He knows what I'm doing. I always do this. And so you can then start messing with, maybe if you have the meter to spend, I'm going to do a drive rush cancel in the middle of this. And then set up a tick throw, shimmy, or frame trap situation off of that. And if he happened to get hit by the second button, actually, let me just set him to block only once. If he happens to get hit by the second button into drive rush cancel, I can just confirm into a combo. Something like that. And so that opens up opportunities for me to potentially get a big combo or to create another guess in the middle of that sequence instead of them just knowing that they can block it out or they can go for parry. Alternatively, if you want to consider that they know now where the gaps are and they could just go for a reversal, just do the one hit and block. The advantage of that as well is that if I just do the one hit and block, that would also give me likely the opportunity to walk forward into throw if he'd gone for parry. So that also covers two options. And if he really tries to reversal here, or alternatively, we'll see if I can land the new one. You get a giant muscle mommy punish, and he probably dies, even on modern controls. Because I didn't just go for what I knew to be a good, reliable, covers both mashing and blocking as in my favor sequence. And then you are also making them more uncomfortable on defense because they have to actually guess what you're going to do. They really want to block everything out. Even I mentioned the drive rush cancel into this. You can even just do, it's not real. It doesn't beat mashing. But neither is this if they don't parry. And they're both still good options to make them think twice about just blocking it out. And if they're not blocking and you do this again, you'll hit. You'll get a big combo. If you just do this and walk back to both catch reversals or be able to walk forward into a punish counter throw if they parry, you also still have time to anti-air. If he just decides to try to jump out of the corner after that first hit, thinking you're going to go for a command grab or a walk forward into throw, because now you've established that as potential options, you have all the time in the world to anti-air here. And that right there is why I'm trying to work on using anti-airs other than Gladius, but I digress. In summary, there are always going to be certain options in this game that become comfort options for you, that feel like safe options for you, that maybe even statistically are safe options for you. Maybe it's on one end of the spectrum doing a delay throw tack, on the other end of the spectrum just deciding you are literally never going to tack and holding that as your ethos. Your character may have a pressure sequence on Oki or on block where it's such a optimal scenario for you, you always go for that Oki, or you always go for that frame trap. And by doing that, you are eliminating the requirement for your opponent to guess. And you're making yourself more and more vulnerable to the correct counterplay for the option that you like to use. There are no options in Street Fighter 6 that do not have counterplay. The only time there isn't going to be counterplay is in a specific checkmate scenario, such as Luke is in burnout in the corner with no super, and I then land this. That would be a guaranteed wall stun into most likely me winning the game. But that required a whole set of circumstances to be something for which there is no counterplay. And the counterplay to it would be for Luke to have avoided making the decisions before that put him in the corner in burnout with no super. Otherwise, even if you're making a smart decision, even if you're doing the most newfangled current patch, super sneaky, super optimal Oki, even if you're doing the string that is just frame trap on frame trap and deletes drive bar should they not try to interrupt, there is always going to be counterplay. And in order to progress in this game, particularly in rank, You have to continue to create guessing situations for your opponent. And that means sometimes doing something that if you're wrong, you did give up a big opportunity to succeed. If I just do this and then walk back because I was expecting a reversal and I didn't do this, yeah, I could have deleted like another whole bar of drive. I could have maintained my pressure. By backing up a little, I've kind of reset the situation. He could try to jump out, he could try to beat my poke with his own poke, he could try to catch me with a crouch medium kick into his own combo and get himself out of the corner. Yeah, it would be better had I known he was just going to block for me to do this. But you don't know that. Unless your opponent has already demonstrated to you that, much like in the examples I've given of how I used to play, they always block or always take the throw or whatever it is. Unless your opponent has already shown you that, you can't assume that they're always going to do the same thing. You have to consider other options, other possibilities, and other ways to set up guesses that could potentially be in your favor. And that means sometimes being in the disappointing and uncomfortable scenario in a real match where you do this, and you wanted to go for more pressure, but you gave up your pressure to establish that sometimes you do shimmy and to look for potential other options, whether it's parry or reversal or just to see what they do. And sometimes you're going to be wrong when you are willing to not do the potential most advantageous thing. Sometimes you're just going to have ended your pressure early, you're going to have allowed the scenario to kind of go back to neutral, what have you. But it is still not as bad as always doing the same thing that you think is the right thing or the smart thing or the risk-averse thing. Because as soon as you start always doing the same thing, even for educated, intelligent, strategic reasons, you are handing your opponent the game. Because once they know you always do that thing, provided they know the counterplay to that thing, you're cooked. You're not going to be able to recover from that. So yeah, that's pretty much what I had to say. I would love to hear in the comments if you have any particular comfort habits on hit, on block, on Oki, whatever character you play, that you find you like to always do, and that can be frustrating when your opponent picks up on it and does the correct counterplay. I love hearing people's different stories and their different experiences in this game at all skill levels. There's no requirement that you have to be 1700 MR Marisa main to hop in the comment section. I really do want to hear from everybody. So thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you see me at Frosty Faustings in Chicago in a couple of weeks, please say hello. And don't forget that if you need any updated eyewear, you can use promo code Gladius at Zenny, link down in the description, to get 20% off anything you want from the Zenny Gaming store. And when you do that, it also helps support the channel and my content, and subsequently, as a result, my ability to continue paying to compete offline. Thank you for watching. Again, I really appreciate every single one of you. You're going to be seeing some new features on the channel pretty soon because we have finally hit the 3,000 watch hours required to become a YouTube partner in the very near future. I'm going to be looking into how to build different levels of channel membership for a monthly fee, hopefully figuring out how to get some emojis available in the comment section. I have to mess with the features. It's a lot of new stuff, but I'm really excited, and it wouldn't have happened without all of you. So, best of luck in Street Fighter 6. I really hope this was of value to you. And when in doubt, Gladius, my friends. Take care of yourselves.